Some of these might require some kind of explanation, I guess. I don't know if I can provide it, but I'll do my best. Hey everybody, welcome to So Awkward. It's me, Don. I'm actually sitting here on my floor. I've been moving some furniture around just for a change, and I'm organizing my record collection. And I thought this might be an interesting video. I started collecting records a couple years ago because I bought this cool little record player that's a briefcase. I used to work at a store at a Starbucks that was right next to a thrift store, and I would go there every day and just I'd look at records and I'd look at stuff, and then I saw this and I think I got this record player for like $10, if that. Since then I've just started collecting records. I rarely spend more than like $5 because I buy them at thrift stores, but it's a fun hobby, and I actually, since I started doing it, I've listened to music more, and I like the way they sound. Like there's just something nice about the way they sound. But anyway, I'm going to be putting them on the shelf, and as I do that, I figured let's take a look at Don's record collection. Let's start with this pile of country music. I like all kinds of music. I'm not a music guy per se. I mean, I like music. I love music. Who doesn't like music? But it's not like in a video about movies, I'm a self-proclaimed expert, but I have opinions on, like, you can name any movie and I'll be able to come up with something about it. Not so much music. Like I don't know that much about music, so this might not be a very interesting video, but let's see how it goes. First one, Ronnie Milsap's Greatest Hits. Underrated. He's one of the top 3 blind singer-songwriter, piano players out there. I think he's got a great voice. He's underrated. You never really hear people talking about Ronnie Milsap anymore, and this is his greatest hits. This is the only Ronnie Milsap album I have. Of course, Kenny Rogers, but you gotta have some Kenny. Johnny Horton's Greatest Hits. You know, the Battle of New Orleans, Go North to Alaska, the Bismarck. My mother used to play Johnny Horton when we were kids, and I unironically love the Battle of New Orleans. I could sing the entire song. In 1814, we took a little trip along with Colonel Jackson down the mighty Mississippi. 1, 2, 3 Conway Twitty albums. I love Conway Twitty. George Jones and Gene Pitney. That's my country selection. I need to get more. Here's my Paul Simon collection. Paul Simon, Greatest Hits, etc. Sure. Dapper young man. I love Paul Simon. If I were to name my favorite musicians of all time, Paul Simon would probably be in the top 5. Garfunkel might sneak in there a little bit, but I think I prefer his solo stuff. Paul Simon's Still Crazy After All These Years. Great album. And Paul Simon, There Goes Rhymin' Simon. Classic album. Alright, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 Gordon Lightfoot albums, which shocks even me. Although I do like Gordon Lightfoot. Sundown, you better take it. If you want to do a Gordon Lightfoot imitation, you just do Bullwinkle. It's the same voice. Cold on the Shoulder. If you could read my mind. One of Canada's best singer-songwriters. He's the Canadian Jackson Browne. Johnny Mathis, Greatest Hits. Actually, a woman came into Starbucks today. Her name was Misty. I said, "Oh, like the song," and she had no idea what I was. And she was like my age, and she said, "Oh, I'd never heard it." She got really excited. "Is this a song named Misty?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Johnny Mathis. Look it up." So she's in for a treat. I could have been like, "Hey, you want to come back to my apartment? I'll put on my Johnny Mathis album." Misty is a great song. If you've never heard it, put it on. And now I've got 3 Engelbert Humperdinck albums. In Time, Another Time, Another Place. He's like Stephen Hawking. He's obsessed with time. And King of Hearts. He needs a mustache. I love Engelbert. Not a day goes by that I don't send my sister some kind of text about Engelbert Humphrey. I'm not even really joking. It's probably not a day, but like probably monthly. And so when you go to thrift stores and look for records, sometimes you find some really interesting stuff. And here is On a Rainy Afternoon by Anthony Perkins. Norman Bates from the Psycho movies. This is actually a pretty. I mean, I think he's probably like a theater guy. He's got a good voice. It's just, it's a nice little album. Like if you're into like Frank Sinatra stuff, not as good, but also interesting is Jack Lemmon's album. Did you know Jack Lemmon? This is one of the things, like, I didn't know this existed until I bought it. And I think I had it for like a year before I was like, oh yeah, I should put this on. It is not very good. He probably used to like sing at parties. And then he realized, hey, I'm a millionaire. I could put out a fucking album if I want. Yeah, he plays the piano and sings. And I think he's mediocre at both. But I mean, it's a well-produced album. I don't know. It's interesting. Wonderful actor. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. And this is a collection of John F. Kennedy's speeches. Actual recorded speeches, including the oath of office, his inaugural address, his speech in Berlin, Ich bin ein Berliner, that one. Speech on the Cuban crisis, just, good stuff. Who doesn't like John F. Kennedy? And here we go into my small collection of comedy albums. I'd like to just collect more comedy albums, but with JFK we have Von Meter's First Family, which is, anybody met me, remember Von Meter? His history's premier JFK impressionist. It's like little skits take place in the White House during about Camelot, and it's fairly funny. There's some jokes, and then of course, on that fateful day, November 1963, Von Meter's career came to an abrupt end. Too bad for Von Meter. Andy Griffith, Just for Laughs. This is a great album. I want more Andy Griffith stuff. I love Mayberry, the show, obviously, the Andy Griffith Show. But before that, a lot of people don't know he was a comedian. That's how he got a show. And he's basically, hold on. Where you going? Do you like Andy Griffith? All right, you can go. Sorry. And she's just like a redneck explaining stuff like Romeo and Juliet and the opera and ballet. And, there's this boy named Romeo, and he likes this filly named Juliet. And then he goes through the whole plot, and he's a funny guy. It's good stuff. Who doesn't like Andy Griffith? Oops, There Comes a Smile. Songs and stories by Jim and Tammy and their friends. Their friends being puppets. I got this at Cheapo, which is a music/movie thrift store in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I think there's one in St. Paul too. There might be several. I go there all the time. My mother owned this when we were kids, and she would play it. My mother's not a crazy evangelical, so I don't know why we had a Tammy Faye Baker album, and it's just like, this is one of the things that this doesn't exist anywhere. And when I saw it at Cheapo, I think I may have spent like $6 on this one. And there's a girl at Cheapo who works at Cheapo, and she's there all the time. There's like 3 people who work there, and when I was reading that, she looked at it. I said, I've been looking for this for 30 years, 40 years, and she kind of looked at me. She's like, well, you found it. It's terrible, but how could you not love that cover? So anyway, that's Oops, There Goes a Smile. Jim and Tammy and Friends. And then I also have, I think there was others too, but I only got 2 Tammy. But sometimes you go to the thrift store and there's like a 20 Tammy. It's like somebody died and they went through like their collection and brought it to like the thrift store here, or like Salvation Army, take this crap. Or somebody became destitute and they had to like sell their collection because cheapo buys stuff. This one's Love Never Gives Up. This one is still shrink wrapped, and it will probably remain shrink wrapped forever. It's just fun. Let's look at my soundtracks. Chariots of Fire. Yeah. Original motion picture soundtrack. Eddie and the Cruisers. Cool movie. Great soundtrack. The Muppet Show. Self-explanatory. Godspell. It's a pretty good musical. It's alright. Fiddler on the Roof. One of my favorite movies. One of my favorite musicals. This is the from the movie with Topol. See, this is why records are cool. Like, look at this. It's like a little picture book. Pretty neat. Great movie. Great soundtrack. West Side Story, the film. There he is. Ben Horne from Twin Peaks. Russ Tamblyn also plays Dr. Jacoby on Twin Peaks. I don't know if anybody else wants to stories in that. Rita Moreno, ever? Walt Disney's Merriest Songs. I don't know. Just a bunch of miscellaneous songs from Disney movies. Club Paradise. Underrated. Robin Williams film. Loved this as a kid. Haven't seen the movie in years. It's mostly just reggae stuff. Jimmy Cliff is in the movie, and he has a bunch of songs on the album. If you like reggae, The Wiz. This is the urban, as they say, version of The Wizard of Oz, starring Diana Ross as Dorothy. Michael Jackson as the Scarecrow. The big hit was Ease On Down the Road, which was their version of Follow the Yellow Brick Road. It's not a great album. I mean, the music is pretty good. The movie itself. Jesus Christ Superstar. I don't know what version this is, because it's not the film version. This is probably just... But it's... I love Jesus Christ Superstar. It might be my favorite musical. Yeah, my 2 favorite musicals are Fiddler on the Roof and Jesus Christ Superstar. You can figure that out for yourself. I don't know. I'm an atheist, but I do love Jesus Christ Superstar. I can sing the entire album by heart. Big Chill. This is a movie about baby boomers sitting around listening to Marvin Gaye music. Let's go into like rock stuff. I've got 2 Billy Squier albums. Don't Say No and Signs of Life. There are a few perfect albums out there. I would say Don't Say No is a perfect album. This one has The Stroke, My Kind of Lover, Lonely as the Night, What Do You Want From Me, Don't Say It. I mean, it's just one of my favorite albums. I love Billy Squier. 2 Wings albums. You know, the Beatles were okay, but I think Paul really hit his stride with Wings. I have 2 Bob Seger albums. Paul Williams, singer-songwriter. What was his character's name in the Planet of the Apes? He was in the 5th one. Was that Battle for the Planet of the Apes? It was Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Escape for the Planet of the Apes. The one where Roddy McDowell goes back in time to the 1970s Earth. That's a great one. Battle for the Planet of the Apes. So I think the 5th one must be Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. And he's... was his name like Virgil or something? I can't remember. But these are the old school. It's one of my favorite film series. I like the new ones too, but the other ones were better. Yeah, Paul Williams. The Alan Parsons Project, Vulture Culture. Gotta have some Lionel Richie. Love Lionel Richie. Steve Winwood. Back in the high life again. Barry Manilow 2. I don't have Barry Manilow 1. So when I bought this record player, I obviously had to buy records, and the first record I bought with it was Close to You by the Carpenters. Great album. I like the Carpenters. Oh no, I'm not even joking. Karen Carpenter has a perfect, pure, beautiful voice. She was an angel, taken too soon. Nat King Cole Trio. Full Force. This one, why would you not buy this? This is just like an R&B album. I remember like sometimes like, oh, that's gonna be crazy, and it's just like, oh, this is actually a pretty good album. Like Full Force. Glenn Frey, how do you say that? I don't know. From the Eagles fame. I don't remember. I don't even know if I even listened to that one, to be honest. Chris Christopherson. This is when I think of like sitting around playing records. It's like Chris Christopherson. You can't listen to Chris Christopherson on Spotify. Like Chris Christopherson, you gotta put on an album. Jim Croce, one of my favorites. So this is a K-Tel record, which I don't know if anybody remembers their commercials. Dude looks like Mario. He has the most beautiful voice. I think his voice might be more beautiful than Karen Carpenter's. Just if you don't know Jim Croce, check him out. He's amazing. He looks like fucking Mario, but he sounds like a guy with a guitar. I don't think I ever listened to this, but Lob Beyond. How can I not buy that? It's got sexy ladies. It's got mysterious men. And it looks. I think I just thought it looked neat. Promotional copy not for sale. I shouldn't have this.
Thinking of me every day. Are you my destiny? Words I never dared to say. Will you be there?
Just sounds like Air Supply or something. I thought it was gonna be like, you know, I thought it was gonna be like Snake Charmer music. Genesis. I have always been curious. I love Phil Collins, and I mean that. He's one of my. I fucking love Phil Collins. I love Genesis, and I never really listened to much of because when the band started, it was Peter Gabriel as the lead, and I think Phil Collins. I don't know if he was an original member or if he came later, but he was just the drummer. And then Peter Gabriel left to go on to bigger and better things. I don't know if better, but he went to do solo stuff because he's a creative genius who can't be tied down. And then Phil Collins took over. I think the drummer's gonna sing, but you know it worked out. But I never really listened to much. So this one, I think I may have specifically gone to the G's to look for old school Genesis, and it's really good. It's really good. I don't know. It's less poppy than, like it's more like Peter Gabriel. It's like weird experimental stuff. And then when Phil Collins took over, it's like let's just make pop music, but it's the best pop music of all time. But it's interesting stuff. Sort of like when the original singer of Chicago, like Chicago used to be just like a swinging jazz band. And then Peter Cetera took over and just, no, let's just do love ballads. But I love love ballads. Midnight Oil, Diesel and Dust, great album, great band. This was a good find. They were big when I was a kid. They're from, I believe, Australia. Must be. I know they sing lots of songs about Aboriginal rights. The guy has a weird ass voice. And combined with his super strong Australian accent, it's interesting stuff. But they're a great band. Check them out. The time has come. Hawaiian Magic. This was disappointing. Like, look at this beautiful lady. I thought it was gonna be just like Hawaiian music, which it is. But I thought it was gonna be like, you know, I thought it was gonna be like soothing. But yeah, let's check it out. Yeah, it's like I thought it was gonna be, you know, I thought it would be like, you know, like gentle, but it just sounds like carnival music. Livingston Taylor, sometimes you just buy stuff just because, you know, it's $1 and it looks weird. This one, I think it's just like generic 70s singer-songwriter stuff. It's fine. Oh yeah, Mike and Elsie sing Norwegian folk songs. How can I not buy that? I won't deprive you. That was probably Mike. The Beatles. It's the White Album. It's not. It's just the greatest hits. John and Yoko, Double Fantasy. Great album. Loggins and Messina. Kenny Loggins and I don't remember Messina's name, but yeah, it's just like yacht rock. There's I work at Starbucks, and I'm the oldest person in the history of Starbucks, obviously. And I work with lots of young people, and Starbucks has playlists for the music, and they have names, and one of them that comes back every few years is yacht rock. And somebody asked me once, "Yeah, what's yacht rock?" And I said, "Oh, it's music for old white men." And they're like, "Oh yeah, I can I can hear that." Mike and the Mechanics. Speaking of, I should file this with my Genesis. A side project of Mike Rutherford, the great guitar player from Genesis, started Mike and the Mechanics. He's not the singer. There he is, Mike Rutherford. Great Silent Running. All I Need Is a Miracle. If you only get one Mike and the Mechanic album, get this one, and there might only be one. Robert Tepper. Who is Robert Tepper? He's the guy from this album. Now, Robert Tepper, I saw this and I was like, oh my god, fucking Robert Tepper. So he did a couple songs, I think, from Rocky IV. He did There's No Easy Way Out, from one of the montages. After Apollo dies, and spoiler, and Rocky has some soul searching to do, because is he going to go to the Soviet Union and fight this monster, Ivan Drago? And he has this big scene with his wife, and she's like, "You can't win, don't do it, Rock, don't." And he's like, "I got it, I'm a gladiator, I'm a warrior." And then he gets in his car, and and he listens to Robert Tepper as he contemplates life. He does go to Russia, and he does beat Ivan Drago. And then, shortly after that, the Soviet Union fell. I'm not saying Rocky did it, but we all know. Then, Whose Garden Was This? John Denver. It's not there's no real hits on here. I think I bought this because, Eleanor Rigby, Golden Slumber, Jingle Bells, Mr. Bojangles. It's like covers. It's pretty good. I don't know. I like John Denver. We're getting to the end. Rupert Holmes. He's the pina colada guy. If you like pina coladas, I'm getting caught in the rain. Turns out it was his girlfriend the entire time. Spoiler. And Mike Nesmith, the First National Band. Mike Nesmith, of course, is the guy with the hat from the Monkees. My favorite Monkee. I love the Monkees, one of my favorite bands. And I love Mike Nesmith above all. Although, if I had to pick a favorite Monkee, it would be Mike. But the second would be all of them. Except for maybe Peter. So yeah. It's Mike Nesmith, of course, genius. He invented MTV. His mother invented Whiteout. He produced some show that was just like music videos, and it was like bought by Viacom, and then it was later like morphed into MTV. He had something to do with the founding of MTV. It's just like Southern rock. He's really good. He's really good. The soul stuff is cool. Anyway, I need more. I hope you enjoyed this little journey through Donald's record collection. I'm sitting on the floor. And I'm old. And I don't know if I can get up. But, yeah. Anyway, that was fun. Thanks for watching, everybody. Comment down below. with a comment, and I'll reply. Thanks. Bye.